This Wednesday night, a massive winter storm pummels the prairies.
Snow is a part of our life.
The whiteout conditions closing highways and airports and causing traffic chaos. 'Tis the season for the flu.
We're right in the midst of that surge.
Why this year's strain is particularly nasty and hitting just in time for the holidays. Boycotting Alberta over transgender athletes. The fallout from Skate Canada's snub. Plus, one-on-one with the PM.
Are you courting other Conservative MPs to push you over the edge?
Our Donna Friesen sits down with Mark Carney. The new details on those floor-crossing MPs and Trump's trade talks.
Global National with Donna Friesen. Reporting tonight, Jeff Semple.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. Winter weather is bearing down on millions of Canadians tonight, with weather warnings issued across nearly every province and territory. A powerful system stretching from BC to Ontario is bringing everything from heavy snow, high winds, and frigid temperatures. The pre-winter wallop is closing schools, highways, and airports and caused a major pileup involving up to 100 vehicles near Calgary. Take a look at this map. Environment Canada issuing a swath of special weather statements and warnings that stretch from the BC interior to Nova Scotia and north into the territories. But it's parts of central Canada and the prairies that are taking the brunt of this system, with blizzard conditions bringing up to 30 centimeters of snow and wind gusts of up to 110 kilometers an hour. Katherine Ludwig begins our coverage tonight from Edmonton, where an Alberta clipper brought parts of the province to a standstill. Katherine.
Cold temperatures, heavy snow, and gusty winds is making it nearly impossible to be outside across Alberta. Early Wednesday morning, people woke up to a thick, heavy blanket of fluffy snow, and it has only intensified. A major highway just north of Calgary was shut down because of the weather, which led to a pileup involving around 100 vehicles. Roads everywhere are busy and slippery with diminished visibility from the blowing snow. There's a number of collisions and pileups reported in Edmonton too, nearly 100 being reported before noon. The heavy amounts of snow are getting mixed reactions from Albertans.
I've been here for 4 years and this is probably the worst I've seen.
I love winter, and I think if you have proper coats and scarf and everything, you know, like it helps you enjoy it more.
I hope it's here to stay. I mean, it's what Edmonton's about. It's what winter's about.
I love it. It should, because that's what being Edmontonian, snow is a part of our life.
While traveling on the roads isn't very easy, air travel isn't any easier. Earlier this morning, both airports in Calgary and Edmonton were experiencing delays and cancellations, but things have since picked back up. Jeff?
Katherine Ludwig in a snowy Edmonton. Thank you, Katherine. As mentioned, that same system is also creating whiteout conditions across southern Saskatchewan and Manitoba. Powerful winds are whipping around as much as 30 centimeters of fresh snow and even some freezing rain. Drivers there are being told to stay off the roads and expect flash freezing. Environment Canada says temperatures are expected to plunge overnight, down to minus 45 with the wind chill in some spots. And that same system is making for another night of heavy rain and strong winds on the west coast. The powerful Pacific storm flooded roads, brought down trees, and knocked out power to more than 120,000 homes and businesses around Metro Vancouver. All that nasty weather outside might leave you huddling indoors, but unfortunately, that also comes with its own risks this time of year. The flu is now surging across the country. Earlier this month, 3 children in eastern Ontario died of complications from the virus. And with countless holiday gatherings and parties coming up, doctors are out with a warning. Our health reporter Katherine Ward explains.
Every flu season is different, and doctors say this year's is shaping up to be a beast.
It's now 1 in 5 of all tests that are being done are positive. So that suggests we're right in the midst of that surge.
It's probably going to end up being a more severe and a more significant flu season compared to the average flu season.
Infectious disease doctors say the early spike is driven by the H3N2 strain of the virus, along with its new variants.
There's probably about 7 additional mutations. Now, those mutations seem to be important because they probably are enhancing the ability of the virus to slip through some of our immune protections.
The situation is further complicated by a less than ideal match in this year's flu shot formulation.
The vaccine this year, while it still works, the component that protects us against H3N2 doesn't work as well as we would like it to. The message is, though, it still works, just not to the same extent. And of course, it has good protection against the other 2 circulating flu viruses in the country.
Some flu seasons are a slow burn and last for several months, as was seen in 2023-2024. The 2022 season, however, saw an early spike, followed by a quick drop. Doctors say initial data suggests this year could follow a similar trend, but nothing is certain.
Flu is a very unpredictable virus. So, for example, we see surges like we're seeing now, and then a second blip that occurs in the spring as another type of flu becomes dominant, typically influenza B. What we're seeing right now is influenza A and H3N2 specifically.
The key issue here is prevention. Let's prevent it. So it's important for people to get the flu shot. It's important for people to stay home if they're sick and keep their kids home from school if they're sick, so we don't get people sick at work or at parties or at school.
Katherine Ward, Global News, Toronto.
Turning now to the fallout from Skate Canada's announcement yesterday that it will no longer host figure skating events in Alberta over the province's new law on transgender athletes. That move from the sport's national governing body is provoking an icy response from Alberta Premier Danielle Smith. As Heather Yourex-West reports, the dispute is also being closely watched by other Canadian sports organizations and athletes.
When Edmonton hosted the Skate Canada Trophy back in February, skaters from across Canada took part. But the national body says moving forward, events like this won't take place in Alberta.
I love that Skate Canada has made this decision. I love that they've made the decision so clearly and so unapologetically.
The decision was made because of Alberta's Fairness and Safety in Sport Act, a law protected by the notwithstanding clause that keeps non-biologically born females from playing in women's sports.
I certainly wish there was a place in softball for Alberta for Riley this year.
The law has meant Eldika Simpson's non-binary child Riley can no longer play softball in the province. She hopes Skate Canada is not the first to take a stand.
When one organization says something, it's great, but when 20 organizations say the same thing, that message is clearer. And I think that message needs to get put out.
Alberta's premier disagrees. On social media, Danielle Smith called Skate Canada's decision disgraceful. We expect they will apologize and adjust their policies once they realize they are offside with the international community, including the International Olympic Committee, which is moving in the same direction as Alberta.
In the next few months, we are expecting a position or decision or rule or some combination thereof from the IOC on women in sport and transgendered athletes.
So far, Skate Canada is the only national body to speak out against Alberta's law. The CEO of Speed Skating Canada says all scheduled events planned for Calgary will go ahead.
And then we'll evaluate the situation further as sort of the law gets implemented in Alberta.
But Skate Canada's position is clear. If trans athletes can't compete in Alberta, national competitions will be held someplace else. Heather Yourex-West, Global News, Calgary.
Canada's population has seen its largest decline on record. Statistics Canada estimates there are just over 41 million people in this country. That is down 0.2% in the third quarter, or 76,000 fewer people. That reduction is linked to the number of non-permanent residents, including a big drop in international students, after the federal government introduced a cap on foreign students last year. And it marks a sharp reversal from the surge in population during the pandemic years. A joint investigation between police and the Canada Border Services Agency has recovered hundreds of stolen cars. Investigators say organized crime groups were shipping the vehicles through several Canadian ports to destinations in the Middle East and Africa. But as Sean O'Shea reports, the industry is calling for better preventative measures.
Police display examples of what they seized in an auto theft investigation that started more than 2 years ago. What began with finding 4 stolen cars netted much more.
The recovery of 306 stolen vehicles, the seizure of firearms and cash, the arrest of 20 offenders.
Ontario Provincial Police worked with the Canada Border Services Agency and other law enforcement in what it called Project Chickadee.
Every seizure sends a clear message. The border is not open to criminals.
Police focused on freight forwarding companies that they say illegally tried to move stolen vehicles through the Port of Montreal, the Port of Halifax, and the Port of Vancouver. High-end vehicles like these, destined for willing buyers abroad.
Including the United Arab Emirates, Syria, Iraq, Turkey, Egypt, Lebanon, and several countries in West Africa.
The vehicles recovered are valued at about $25 million. The suspects, police say, are linked to international organized crime groups.
They're not all just one cohesive group, but they certainly work together to facilitate their criminal networks.
Since the investigation began, police and border authorities have increased their cooperation.
The port authorities are also increasing their security as well. So there is definitely a push to make sure that only authorized individuals are entering those ports.
But Canadian auto theft safety standards haven't been updated since 2007, something the insurance industry would like to see, because vehicles are still too easy to steal.
It's unfortunate when somebody spends tens of thousands of dollars on a vehicle and then they have to still spend money to actually truly protect their vehicle.
Police say auto theft crime doesn't just affect drivers.
It's the only motivator for this is to derive a profit. In some cases, we can make connections to terrorist entities.
In the first half of the year, auto theft nationally was down almost 20%, a positive sign, although police say thieves are using different tactics to get stolen vehicles out of Canada. Jeff.
Sean O'Shea in Toronto. Thanks, Sean. Quebec Liberal Party leader Pablo Rodriguez has resigned just 6 months after taking over the position. The announcement follows weeks of turmoil over allegations of vote buying and reimbursed donations during the Liberal leadership race. Global's Dan Spector is following that story for us tonight. Dan.
Jeff, just days ago, Pablo Rodriguez defended his integrity, called himself a fighter who would win the next provincial election. Now he's out of a job. At a virtual caucus meeting, Rodriguez informed his colleagues he is stepping down as leader of the Quebec Liberal Party after just 6 months at the helm. Rodriguez and the Liberals have been embroiled in scandal for a month now. The trouble began with star Liberal Emmanuelle Wawrizki firing her chief of staff Geneviève Hintz, a longtime Rodriguez collaborator, for reasons that still remain a mystery. Then came the leaked text messages pointing to a votes for cash scheme during Rodriguez's leadership campaign. The anti-corruption police launched an investigation. So did Elections Quebec. The straw that broke the camel's back seems to have been allegations published by the Journal de Montréal this week surrounding a fundraising event for his leadership campaign at the home of a high-profile Quebec businessman. 20 attendees were given envelopes containing $500 in cash. Rodriguez has denied any wrongdoing, but experts say even if that's true, illegal fundraising happening on his behalf without his knowledge doesn't inspire confidence in his leadership capabilities.
It, I think, erodes your own legitimacy, right, in terms of as party leader and as also someone who wants to become a premier of Quebec.
Justin Trudeau's former Quebec lieutenant was supposed to be the man to lead the Liberals back to relevance after a crushing defeat in the 2022 provincial election to François Legault and his CAQ. But now, with under 10 months to go until the next election, the Liberals have been plunged into uncertainty. Jeff.
Dan Spector, thanks. 59 offenses coming up. The slew of charges against the accused Bondi Beach attacker, plus the political pressure facing Australia's Prime Minister. Police in Australia have charged the surviving alleged gunman with 59 offences, including 15 murder charges, after the attack at a Hanukkah event in Sydney. 24-year-old Naveed Akram was seriously injured in that shooting, and he attended today's court hearing from his hospital bed. Also today, the first funerals for the 15 victims, as Australia struggles to process what happened at Bondi Beach. Redmond Shannon reports.
Like, she's running around happy. And then second, what I see before my eyes is she's lying on the ground. And I just can't explain how it happened.
The parents of 10-year-old Matilda recount the terror of her final moments. As the mourners gather for the first funerals from the Hanukkah attack. For Rabbis Eli Schlanger and Yaakov Levitan.
I don't think people understand that we have terrorism on our doorstep.
A war zone at Bondi Beach.
Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese was not at the funerals, although he said he would go to any that he was invited to.
We need to learn any lessons that are learnt from this, undertake stronger action. We want to stamp out and eradicate anti-Semitism from our society.
Albanese is facing a wave of criticism that his government has not done enough to protect Jews.
Our Prime Minister, our government, has allowed Australia to be radicalised on his watch.
The shooting has become political in Australia between gun control advocates and those concerned about rising anti-Semitism, including incidents at pro-Palestinian protests. The Premier of New South Wales wants to introduce new gun laws and restrict some protests at the state level.
I have to explore all possible ways of ensuring that we lower the temperature in New South Wales and Sydney.
On Wednesday, the surviving suspect, Naveed Akram, was charged with 15 counts of murder, 40 of attempted murder and 1 of terrorism. His first court hearing from his hospital bed. As Bondi's Jewish community marked the 4th night of Hanukkah, the local council says it has cancelled New Year's Eve fireworks as a mark of respect. Redmond Shannon, Global News, London.
Acclaimed Hollywood director Rob Reiner's son Nick appeared in court today for the first time, one day after he was charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder in the deaths of his parents. New security video shows Nick Reiner at a South Los Angeles gas station buying a sports drink on Sunday night, and about an hour later, cameras appeared to capture his arrest across the street. Prosecutors say the 32-year-old did not enter a plea today in the stabbing deaths of Rob and Michelle. His arraignment was postponed until January the 7th. And the Oscar goes to YouTube. The annual Entertainment Awards show is moving from TV to the online streaming giant beginning in 2029. The Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences announced the 5-year deal today, ending an exclusive run by TV broadcaster ABC that started back in 1976. In a statement, the Academy says this partnership will allow us to expand access to the work of the Academy to the largest worldwide audience possible. Hollywood's biggest awards night will stream live and for free to over 2 billion viewers globally. A conversation with Carney. Still ahead, what the Prime Minister told our Donna Friesen about whether more politicians might cross the floor to his Liberals. Prime Minister Mark Carney is offering new details about his role in the defection of 2 Conservative MPs, a flashpoint in Canadian politics that's left his government just 1 seat shy of a majority. Carney spoke with our Donna Friesen in a wide-ranging year-end interview, touching on everything from parliamentary math to Canada's place in the world to trade talks. David Aiken brings us a preview.
The next Prime Minister of Canada, Mark Carney.
A whirlwind year for Mark Carney. His leadership win in March, a stunning turnaround in Liberal political fortunes, an election win in the spring.
Well, I am now a politician. I have to admit, I am Prime Minister, so I am a politician, but I'm still a pragmatist.
And the year finished with high political drama, 2 floor crossers.
In those cases, they came to us.
Carney personally helped seal the deals.
I met with them just at the end of what was a process.
Are you courting other Conservative MPs to push you over the edge?
Well, it's interesting. I wouldn't have chosen that verb, lure. Lure or courting. Okay. What I would choose is they are attracted by what we are doing.
Mr. President, are you close to a... But the dominant figure in Carney's first year as PM would not be found in the House of Commons. That figure was in the White House.
President Trump faces midterm elections next fall. The U.S. Supreme Court is set to rule on whether his tariff scheme is legal or not. Is one strategy simply to wait him out, to let events potentially take over?
Well, certainly a strategy is not to rush into a bad deal, and that's what we've been very disciplined about.
Elbows up. Elbows up. In the spring election, Carney spoke about elbows up and promised a quick deal with the United States. Now, deals, if they happen, are months away at least, and Carney is looking to Europe and Asia to diversify.
It's a very fluid situation internationally.
His first year took him around the world, from South Africa to Mexico, Korea, and to Ukraine.
Premier Minister Canada, Mark Carney.
Canada will always stand in solidarity with Ukraine. It's a great honor to host you.
There may be more travel in 2026, perhaps to India, perhaps to China. Carney said one of his MPs is in China this week to talk about normalizing that relationship. In contrast to Justin Trudeau, Carney is looking to boost trade ties with both Asian giants.
What I would say to Canadians, the good news is virtually everybody wants to do more with Canada.
And in his conversation with Donna Fries and Jeff, Carney argued that that's how Canada, as a middle power, can influence world events by using trade ties to export Canadian values.
David Aiken, thanks. And you can watch Donna's full interview on Christmas Day. In Conversation with Prime Minister Mark Carney will air December 25th on Global TV and online at globalnews.ca. Up next, firefighters and football players spreading holiday cheer in Montreal for those who need it most. Welcome back. In Montreal, firefighters and football players were doing some heavy lifting for a good cause.
What's here?
Firefighters joined by members of the Montreal Alouettes, packing boxes full of food and toys for disadvantaged families across the city. The boxes are valued at up to $500 each and are being distributed to nearly 1,300 homes.
You name it, you're going to find it in a basket. It represents a couple of weeks of groceries for a family in need. And you know what was always important when we grew up, if you were a kid, you wanted a present under the Christmas tree.
It's just a great experience just to see their faces light up once they see the boxes and the gifts and stuff. So I'm super excited to be able to drop these off.
This is the 38th year Montreal's firefighters have taken part in this campaign, helping spread holiday cheer to more than 40,000 families during that time. And that is Global National for this Wednesday. I'm Jeff Semple. Tonight's Your Canada is this huge Christmas light display in Surrey, BC. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you here again tomorrow. Have a great night.